Hi, I'm Bells. You've probably seen some of my other videos. Today, I am going to talk about emotions and the fact that, we all have them. Emotions are a good thing to have, but at the same time, a lot of times our emotions can overtake us and cause a disruption in our lives, whether it's at work or at school or in our friendships or what have you. So I wanted to talk today about this idea that it's really great that we have emotions. We don't want to suppress them. That's very unhealthy if we do that. But at the same time, how do we manage our feelings so that we aren't wearing our feelings on us at all times? If you've seen one of my other videos, you've seen me talk about differentiating between this idea of I being my rational, logical self and having a visualization in my mind of a younger version of me that symbolizes where all the emotions come from within me. And training people or teaching people or showing people the technique of doing this so that they themselves have the ability to have the rational part be in control and also have the emotions happening. We all need to have emotions. Those are healthy, they're good things, they're good signals for us to have. What do we do though when we don't have this separation is that if we aren't paying close enough attention to our emotional self gets so loud that it takes over. And now the difference between I and my emotional self, there is no difference. We are just like, I'm angry. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Or, oh, I'm so in love. And so we want to be able to experience those feelings, but without them running over us and us wearing them out into the world. It's not that we want to hide them. We don't want to hide them, but there's this idea of emotional coercion that we can accidentally do by portraying our emotions outright instead of telling somebody what it is that we have going on with us. An example could be like, let's say I'm having a really hard day. I've forgotten my wallet at home, and I'm now stuck. I don't have lunch, and I can't pay with my phone because I never set that up. So would one of my coworkers perhaps be willing to loan me the money or pay for me for lunch? Well, how do I go about asking for that? Well, if I come into the situation fraught, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm really, I'm really in a tight spot. Could you please help me? Now, if somebody doesn't help you, even if they can't, they don't have the money, but if somebody doesn't help you, it's going to put them in a position of failing to help somebody who's in distress or in desperate need, let's say. And this means that a lot of times those people will feel like they don't have a choice. Of course, they do have a choice. We all have choices, but unless we have all the tools to know how to combat these types of situations, we will feel like we don't have a choice, that we really just need to help this person who is kind of, in a desperate situation. But at the same time, I could have come along and been like, hey, I'm kind of in a bad spot. I left my wallet at home and I don't have anything for lunch. Would you be willing to loan me some money, or would you be willing for me to come to lunch with you and have you buy for me, and I will happily either pay you back or I will, take you out to lunch someday so that we can have it be, fair and equal. When I ask this way, somebody will feel like they have the option to say no. They might say like, well, I'm really kind of in a tight spot today. It's before payday and I don't really have any money, but Jim, who doesn't have kids and who often has play money, might be able to do that for you. Perhaps you could go ask Jim or whoever. So being able to understand that if we don't wear our emotions in the moment, we can get a lot more honest and authentic responses from people. Now, I want to be living a very authentic life. I want to have the emotions that I have, but I don't want those emotions to influence somebody else coming authentically to the conversation. Okay, so this idea is that it's good to have emotions, it's good to have feelings, we want to have them, but we don't want those emotions to be dictating our options or making our choices for us, or um, accidentally being used in a way that will influence other people from being their authentic selves. In society, we have a lot of programming that we've gotten from the world about what it means if we don't help somebody. Of course, meaning is a whole other discussion, but uh, we don't want to force that meaning to the surface. We don't want somebody to feel as though if they don't help us, that it means they're a bad person. So we want to make certain that we are giving them the opportunity to say no, but in a way where they aren't the bad guy, because of course they aren't the bad guy. They can help us or not, and if they don't help us, it means they're just not able to help us for whatever reason. It doesn't mean that they are a bad person who has let us down in our time of need. Um, we also want to consider that in a situation like that, we want to save our Hail Marys for when we really need them. So if we are in a situation where something is really dire and we absolutely need help, those are a situation where, we want somebody to know that we're in a really bad situation, and we don't want to accidentally manipulate them, but we want them to know that if they help us, it really is a Hail Mary type of situation. And if then they help us, they will have positively contributed to a situation where something was incredibly dire, right? Like, we discover that we have to move in the next 2 days, and we don't have a truck and we don't have any money because we weren't preparing for this, but the house got flooded and now we all have to vacate or something. Those are the kinds of situations where there's a Hail Mary. But I digress. So we don't want to accidentally, inadvertently put somebody in a situation where they feel like, oh, we've lost our wallet. It's a Hail Mary situation. Like, it's really, really necessary for them to help us. When in fact, there could be other situations, right? I could drive home and get my wallet and come back, but it will mean that I won't have been at lunch to eat. I will have been driving that whole time, and maybe I'm late coming back, and maybe that means that I need to stay late, but I need to babysit someone's kid tonight, so I can't do that. So like there are other mitigating circumstances that are going on. Anyway, so the point of all of this is in life, if we don't want to accidentally be bullying people or accidentally manipulating people or accidentally coercing people, then we need to come to the table with our emotions, but with our rational self at the surface, and communicating what it is that we're feeling in a way without wearing that feeling. Like, God, I'm a little scared right now that I might lose my job, right? Of, oh, I'm going to lose my job. That's wearing the feeling, right? We don't want to do that. We want to be like, I'm a little afraid I might lose my job. And the reason for this, there's many reasons for this, but societally, the calmer we are, the more able somebody's able to help us. But why? Because we have mirror neurons in our brain, and any extreme thing that's happening will trigger the other person's mirror neurons to do the same thing. So if we are fraught with emotions, we can trigger that other person to be fraught with emotions. And now we have two people who aren't able to get anything done. But if we're able to say like, oh, I'm really upset right now, or I'm really stuck, or I'm really disappointed, and not be wearing it, then we keep that other person in a space where it's easiest for them to come and be rational also in the situation. So this is a key lesson that I didn't get growing up. I wished I had. And it's a key lesson that, in my teens would have been valuable. And as an adult, it has greatly enriched my life. Being able to come to somebody and tell them how I'm doing, and be honest and say like, oh, I'm in a lot of pain today. I don't really feel good. I'm kind of grouchy. Please, don't take it personally if I seem a little distant today or what have you. And people will be like, oh, of course, don't worry about it. Like, let's do this instead, so it'll be less work and we could focus on this, and I'll take this part of it. And it's amazing how giving and grateful and supportive people are, because they see that I am managing myself, and it allows them to manage themselves. Whereas if I had come to the situation fraught with emotion, that means I'm not managing myself, and it puts the other person now in a position where if they want to get anything done with me, they're going to have to manage my emotions. And all of us have been in a situation where the person that we're talking to is upset or whatever, and we need to stop what we're doing and help them manage that. And that's a lot of emotional labor. And when we need to be getting other things done, if I can do that for myself, then that frees up all the energy the other person has to focus on the problem that I actually need help with, not my emotions. I'm able to be responsible for them most of the time. Of course, everybody has lapses. I have a bad day or I get triggered every once in a while or what have you. But if we are able to be mostly responsible for our emotions, it puts other people in the situation where now they have to be responsible for their emotions. And suddenly there's this great synergy going on where the emotions aren't what's driving the conversation. We can bypass a lot of the insecurities and the disappointment or the frustration or the irrational part. We can acknowledge that it's there, but we can still solve the problems in a rational and logical fashion. It's not perfect, but it's so much easier than it is when it's all tangled up in these emotions. So this is my discussion on emotions for today. And, it's a little longer than I've been talking in my other videos, but I'm hoping that people will be able to stop and think about this and kind of decide if they believe that they are able to separate their logical from their emotional and be able to show up to conversations stating what their emotions are instead of exhibiting what their emotions are. We don't have to wear them. If you are looking for assistance, if you are looking for tools that will help you with this, if you are looking for a life coach, if you're looking for guidance, please feel free to look me up. I am at lifecoach.contactin.bio. Contact in bio. Anyway, so if you want to hunt me down, that's the way to find me. You'll be able to email, ask me questions, or what have you. There's an email form right on there. So I hope that you are all working towards this great adventure of discovering how peaceful life can be when we are not completely caught up in the emotions that we're having and better able to find a way to support them and to feel supported within ourselves so that we can self-soothe and create a life that is much more manageable. Thank you.